Notorious B.I.G. would likely have been a great CPG entrepreneur. So, what can industry professionals learn from the hip hop legend? In this new content series, I want to kind of blend two of the things that I love. The first one, the CPG industry. You guys hear me talk about this endlessly on this channel, but the other one that I don't mention all that often is my love of hip hop music. And this has went really deep. At this point, probably 30 years. And I even brought in a cassette tape during elementary school, show and tell. It was a Snoop Doggy Dogg tape. The teacher ended up playing a few seconds on the cassette player. It had explicit lyrics, so it didn't really last all that long. I think I got in trouble, but that love has been with me ever since. I even covered the Denver local and then also national hip hop scene for a lifestyle magazine that was based out of Denver. I did that for a few years. I went to well over 100, maybe 200 concerts in those few years. So I definitely have spent a lot of time around hip hop music. But I've always believed that entrepreneurship, specifically CPG entrepreneurship, and hip hop music are linked together. Hip hop is definitely seen as a counterculture type genre to some of the other longer standing music styles. Also, if you think about the CPG industry and just entrepreneurs there, this is kind of the counterculture of entrepreneurship. Really today, a lot of people are really focused on like tech solutions or something like that. And not to say that CPG businesses aren't tech companies at heart, but this isn't the first thing you think about a lot of times when you want to start a business. Hip hop is also all about hustle and salesmanship. That is the exact same thing that's in CPG entrepreneurship. Hip hop music is really rooted in sampling or remixing previous music. And this iterative innovation process is really at the core of the CPG industry. Hip hop is a lifestyle, it's not just a music genre. And if anybody has worked in the CPG industry or owns a CPG brand, you know it's not just your career, your job, it's definitely a lifestyle. And this is honestly why we probably see a lot of hip hop artists become CPG entrepreneurs or maybe invest in CPG brands. If you look at some of the alcoholic beverage brands, this is kind of where a lot of the hip hop artists own very significant brands. You have Jay-Z that just exited his business. You have Sean P. Diddy or Puff Daddy, whatever the heck he goes by now. Sean Combs owns Ciroc and a few other alcoholic brands. You have Travis Scott that just launched his Cacti hard seltzer brand. Drake owns an alcoholic beverage brand, and countless more. And the other kind of big category that hip hop artists have really kind of got into CPG entrepreneurship is through kind of like cannabis or marijuana brands. You also have Jay-Z that has a brand there, Wiz Khalifa, the before mentioned Snoop Dogg, and a number of other ones. And then if you look at just like food and beverage, Jay-Z's made a few investments. A lot of other rappers have kind of made investments, not necessarily going all in on the brands in which they own themselves. But Master P actually owns a portfolio company that started the very popular Rap Snacks lineup. Now, unfortunately, we never got to see if Notorious B.I.G. would have ended up being a great CPG entrepreneur. Unfortunately, his life was cut short at 24 years old, but he did provide us a ton of kind of details and tidbits of information that makes me believe that he would be a very great CPG entrepreneur. And one of the hints that he did leave was that he loved the packaged beverage category. Nothing can beat the PEPSI, drink it constantly. Nothing about the taste feels great, less filling. Tell him Biggie said, drink it all, don't test me. Nothing else beats a Pepsi. If it is, let's see, I'm thirsty. So this freestyle was actually uncovered very recently, actually, and it was not released. This hasn't been anything that people were too aware of until recently, and that was because Pepsi actually took this and made a commercial out of it, and it was to memorialize Notorious B.I.G. being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame posthumously. This is kind of lesson zero because you need this regardless of what business you're starting, but passion is the fuel that entrepreneurs need to keep going. You must love what you do, and you have zero success in the CPG industry if you don't love what you're doing, you don't love the category. And it's sometimes in those very tough days that your core belief in that business or in that category. And kind of the biggest hint that Notorious B.I.G. left that tells me that he would be a very good CPG entrepreneur is he actually wrote a manual and a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track. Now, if you aren't familiar with that lyric, or maybe I just butchered it a lot, this is actually a lyric from the 10 Crack Commandments, and Notorious B.I.G. actually laid out a 10-step business lessons. Though these lessons were really around an illicit drug trade, quite honestly, all of them have some application to the CPG industry. Now, I'll just kind of pull a few of the ones that I kind of find the most valuable. Never let no one know how much dough you hold. Now, financial transparency is very important, but unless you're running a publicly traded company or you're raising a round of financing, it's better to kind of keep all the kind of financial metrics from people that are outside of your business. The next lesson is never let them know your next move. Always keep your core strategies, your product development pipeline, and corporate plans for growth close to your chest. Staying ahead of your competition really is impossible if they know all of your moves and they know what you're going to do next. The next one is never get high on your own supply. Now, this lyric could provide two lessons depending on how you interpret that. The first one is around don't drink too much of your own Kool-Aid. Though you might be doing really great, your business might be doing extremely well, ego is definitely a dangerous thing to have too much of in the CPG industry. Secondly, you could kind of interpret that by saying don't substitute your own needs and wants ahead of your customer. The customer is the core of everything. The customer is really what matters the most. What they say, their opinion is ultimately the aggregate of what the market's opinion is of your business, and the capitalist markets are undefeated in terms of determining who the winners and losers are. The next one is around keep your family and business completely separated. While sometimes family-owned businesses, families that work together, or friends that work together, it ends up working out pretty well, but largely this is something that ends up causing a ton of trouble. And it causes a lot of trouble because the people that are getting hired, the people that are being put in positions, family members and such, it's not based on their skill sets or their business acumen or what they can bring to the table. It's really based around just the relationship. And that can create a ton of issues around the culture inside of the business. If these friends and family can't contribute to the bottom line, you have to be honest with yourself. And if you can't be, CPG entrepreneurship is probably not for you. The next one is around consignment is not for freshmen. Now, what the Notorious B.I.G. is really warning you about is that you don't want to take on a lot of inventory risk by consigning that product out to a retailer, especially if you're a young upstart brand that doesn't have a lot of pull or demand for your product. So that product could sit on shelves across the country in hundreds or thousands of locations. It can age. You can't get it back. You can't sell it on your direct-to-consumer site or anything like that, and you end up getting in trouble. This kind of spreads your cash out, spreads your inventory out, does a ton of different things to your business. So if you aren't well versed in how to handle inventory management, understand how to deal with the financial kind of levers and capitalization of your business, consignment is something that you should stay away from. I don't care what retailer is telling you this is the only way to get on. You don't need them. You can go in a different direction, build up your demand, build the strength in your business, come back with more leverage when you can negotiate terms a little better. Now, outside of the song 10 Crack Commandments, there were a few different kind of tidbits from lyrics that I wanted to bring up that I thought would be important lessons for any CPG entrepreneur. I learned from other people's mistakes. I know when to say no. While in the right context, mistakes are the greatest lesson, a lot of times you don't have to incur those mistakes firsthand if you're close enough to somebody and you can learn those lessons from somebody close to you. Secondly, CPG entrepreneurs need to be extremely diligent with their time management. So you need to understand how to say no. You need to understand where your time is going to give the most value to your business. There's another lyric from Notorious B.I.G. that shows us that he would be a great CPG entrepreneur is that Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, when I was dead broke man, I couldn't picture this. 50-inch screen, money green leather sofa, got 2 rides, a limousine with a chauffeur. Phone bill about 2 G's flat, no need to worry, my accountant handles that, and my whole crew is lounging, celebrating every day, no more public housing. So there's actually a ton of lessons that are in this. The first one is that you can't go into CPG entrepreneurship just thinking that you're gonna become rich. This is a tough grind, this is a tough way to make a living, and you have to kind of come in there with the right set of expectations. Secondly, CPG entrepreneurship, knowing your numbers, financial metrics, all that type of stuff, you need to have a sound, trusted accountant, a CFO, whatever kind of professional in your business that can handle those things and make sure you're making profitable sales and making the most out of every action within your business. And then thirdly, don't forget to take care of the people that helped you get to the finish line. Just want to end on some final thoughts. It's extremely unfortunate that we didn't get to see what Notorious B.I.G would bring to both the music industry and the business community. His life, again, was cut way too short at the age of 24. But if you've gotten the chance to watch the newest documentary on Netflix called I Got a Story to Tell, then you know he's an extremely skilled hustler that would have had a ton of entrepreneurial success regardless of what he chose to do. But I believe he probably would have owned a CPG brand, if not several of them. While not directly said by Notorious B.I.G, it was the song title of one of his most famous songs called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And this lesson that Notorious B.I.G left the CPG industry with is, regardless of how sales are going and how much revenue or maybe how much capital you are raising, it doesn't make your life any more easier in the CPG industry. As your revenue grows, as your cash in the bank ends up growing, that just means that you're gonna have bigger and different problems. It might not be the same as when you were bootstrapping your business, but these problems never go away, even as your business grows from 1 million to 5 to 10 to 100 million plus. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you wanna help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.